A cartel storms Elon Musk's Texas home in the dead of night. Armed, ruthless, ready to destroy. But they didn't expect him. In a heart-pounding standoff, Musk faces danger head-on, not with guns, but with something sharper. What secret drove the cartel to his door? And how did one man turn the tables on a criminal empire? Dive into a Texas tale of grit, wits, and a fight that could change everything. Before we start the video, make yourself some tea and write in the comments where you are watching this video from, and now dive into the video. In modern Austin, where glass and steel skyscrapers stand alongside dusty suburban roads, the night was hot and heavy, as if a storm were brewing. The air carried the scent of sun-baked asphalt and faint smoke from distant barbecue pits. Inside Elon Musk's home, tucked behind high walls and surveillance cameras, a light burned. It wasn't the lavish mansion the tabloids imagined, but a modest yet fortified residence in the style of a Texas ranch. Rough wooden beams, wide windows, and a security system worthy of a space station. Elon sat in his office, surrounded by monitors flashing SpaceX graphs and Neuralink reports. His fingers hammered the keyboard, and his tired but vigilant eyes scanned lines of code. Outside, dogs barked, and a siren wailed in the distance. He paid it no mind. Austin was never quiet. But tonight, something felt off. An instinct, honed by years of battling critics and competitors, whispered trouble was near. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the monitors went dark for a moment. Elon froze. The silence that followed was unnatural. No hum of the air conditioner, no familiar buzz of electronics. He reached for his phone, but there was no signal. Then he heard it, a dull thud at the front door, followed by muffled voices, sharp, foreign, with an accent that grated on the ear. Rápido entra, came from outside. Elon knew these weren't lost neighbors. His home was a target. The Mexican cartel, a specter in recent local news, had come for him. Rumors of their audacity swirled through Texas. Drug trafficking, kidnappings, intimidation. But why him? His influence? His tweets slamming border corruption? Or simply because he was Elon Musk, a symbol to be broken? He didn't panic. His mind worked like a machine, analyzing the situation. The doors would hold for 5 minutes, armored, triple-locked. The security cameras, though cut from the main grid, had backup power and were recording to a local server. He had time, but not much. Elon pulled a small remote from a drawer, a prototype defense system he'd developed for Tesla. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense, but it could emit electromagnetic pulses strong enough to disable electronics or briefly stun a person. He activated the house's system, and a low hum filled the room as backup generators kicked in, restoring control. Outside, 6 men gathered in the yard in the darkness. Their silhouettes were barely visible. Black jackets, masks, automatics glinting in the moonlight. One, a stocky man with a snake tattoo on his neck, held a radio. Jefe, estamos dentro del perímetro. He hissed. El sistema está apagado. Vamos por él. But as they approached the door, a sharp crack rang out, like an electrical discharge. The yard's floodlights blazed, blinding them, and the revived cameras whirred, training their lenses on the intruders. The men shouted, shielding their eyes. One fired into the air, but it did no good. From a second-floor window, Elon watched the chaos unfold. His heart pounded, but his voice was steady as he activated the loudspeaker. "You're on private property," he said, his words booming across the yard. "You have 30 seconds to leave. Otherwise, the consequences will be unpleasant." The cartel leader, the one with the tattoo, laughed, a harsh, angry sound. "You think your toys can stop us, Musk? We're here to take everything, including you." Elon didn't respond. Instead, he pressed a button on the remote. Jets of smoke, harmless but thick, erupted from the ground. Engulfing the yard, the intruders coughed, disoriented. Then the sonic devices kicked in, a piercing, nauseating noise, like a siren, but at a frequency that turned stomachs. Two men dropped to their knees, clutching their ears. Maldita sea, vámonos. One screamed, but the leader stood firm. He charged the door, trying to bash it with his rifles, but it was futile. The door held, and another pulse knocked him back, sprawling him in the dirt. Inside, Elon was already in the basement, in his command center, a fortified room with monitors, food supplies, and off-grid communication. He activated a satellite phone and dialed. "Sheriff, this is Elon Musk. I've got an intrusion. 6 armed men, likely cartel. Sending coordinates. Get here fast." Sheriff Roy Thompson, a grizzled Texan, answered in a gravelly voice. "Hold tight, Musk. We're 10 minutes out." 10 minutes was too long. Elon knew the cartel wouldn't back off easily. They'd come with a plan, likely with backup. He returned to the monitors, watching the men regroup. The leader, still rubbing his head, shouted orders, pointing at the windows. They were prepping for another assault. Then Elon did the unexpected. Instead of waiting for the police or setting more traps, he switched on the loudspeaker again. "I know who you are," he said, his voice calm but piercing. "And I know why you're here. But killing or robbing me won't solve your problems. Let's talk. Right now. Give me one reason I shouldn't activate the next level of defense, which will leave you unconscious for a week." A hush fell over the yard. The leader, Raul, scowled. His men looked to him, awaiting orders. They weren't used to negotiation. Their world was one of force, fear, and blood. But something in Elon's voice, that cold confidence mixed with an odd offer, made Raul pause. "You're bluffing," he snarled, but there was a crack in his voice. "Maybe," Elon replied, "but you've seen what I can do. Want to test what else I've got? Or shall we talk? What's your name?" Raul hesitated. His hand gripped his rifle, but he didn't shoot. For the first time in years, he felt the situation slipping from his control. Elon Musk wasn't a typical target. He was different. "Raul," he said finally. "My name's Raul." "Good, Raul," Elon answered. "We've got 5 minutes before the police arrive. Tell me what you want. Maybe we can find a way for everyone to walk away alive." Those words hung in the air like a challenge. The intruders exchanged glances, their masked faces hiding fear and confusion. In the distance, sirens grew louder. The police were closer than they thought. But Raul didn't look away from the house. He sensed this night would change everything. The sirens drew closer, their wails slicing through the hot Texas night. But in the yard outside Elon Musk's home, time seemed to stand still. The thick smoke from Elon's makeshift trap slowly settled, revealing the scene. 6 armed men, still clutching their rifles, but their movements hesitant. Raul, the leader with the snake tattoo, stood at the forefront, his eyes burning with rage but tinged with doubt. He wasn't used to a target dictating terms. Yet Elon Musk, hidden behind armored walls, was doing just that. Inside, Elon sat in his command center, his fingers buzzing with adrenaline, but his face impassive. The monitors before him flickered with camera feeds. Raul, his men, their weapons. The satellite phone lay nearby, ready for another call, but Elon didn't rush. He knew the police would storm in soon, and the situation could spiral into a scenario he wanted to avoid: blood, chaos, headlines. He saw another path. Not an easy one, but possible. "Raul," his voice boomed through the loudspeaker again, steady but with a metallic edge. "You gave me your name. That's a start. Now tell me what brought you here. Money? Revenge? Or did someone hire you?" Raul clenched his fists. His men exchanged uneasy glances, their masks unable to hide their tension. One, a wiry man with a nervous stare, whispered, "Jefe, vámonos. La policía está cerca." "Cállate." Raul snapped, his eyes locked on the house. Then he shouted, "You think you can trick us, Musk? Your words change nothing. We're here to show who runs this town." Elon leaned closer to the microphone, his voice dropping, sharper now. Runs this town? Raul, look at your men. They're scared. They know they won't walk away if this ends in a shootout. You want to be the boss? Then tell me who's behind you. Because I know people like you don't show up at my house without a reason. The words hit their mark. Raul flinched, his jaw tightening. Elon didn't know for sure if someone higher up was pulling the strings, a local politician, a Silicon Valley rival, or even a government insider. But he could read people. Raul wasn't a madman. He was a soldier, and soldiers follow orders. In the yard, one of the intruders, a young man with trembling hands, lowered his rifle. Raul, he's right. This is a trap. We shouldn't have come, he muttered. Silencio, Diego. Raul spun on him, his eyes flashing. But Diego didn't stop. You said yourself, this wasn't our plan. Someone set us up. His voice broke, and he glanced at the house, as if seeking salvation from Elon. Raul raised a hand, as if to strike Diego, but froze. The sirens were deafening now, drowning out even the hum of the house's defense system. Time was running out. Inside, Elon took a deep breath. He saw the crack in the group. This was his chance. He activated the external monitors, typically used for Tesla presentations, and displayed the camera feeds, the intruders' faces, their weapons, their movements. It was all being recorded and streamed to a secure server only he could access. Raul didn't know that. Raul, Elon said, everything you're doing is being recorded. If you storm the house, these tapes will go to the FBI, DEA, and every news channel from Texas to DC. But if we talk, I can turn the cameras off. There's no choice. It's too late to run. Raul stood rooted to the spot, his chest heaving. He knew Elon wasn't entirely bluffing. But backing down meant losing face in front of his men. In his world, that was worse than death. What do you propose, Musk? He said at last, his voice hoarse, the earlier venom gone. Take your men to the gate. Drop your weapons. I'll come out and we'll talk. No police, no cameras. Just you and me. In the command center, Elon heard his own heart pounding. This was a risk. A big one. But he knew Raul's power lay in his authority. If he could make him doubt, the cartel would crumble from within. In the yard, Diego tossed his rifle to the ground. After a moment's hesitation, another man followed. Raul turned to them, his face contorted with fury, but he didn't shout. The sirens were a block away. He knew time was up. Fine, Musk, he said, dropping his rifle into the dust. But if this is a trap, you'll regret it. I don't play traps, Elon replied. Give me a minute. He switched off the loudspeaker and checked the monitors. The police were around the corner, 3 cars, their lights cutting through the dark. Elon dialed the sheriff. Roy, it's Musk. Hold your men back for 5 minutes. I'm trying to settle this without gunfire. You've lost your mind, Roy growled. This is the cartel, Elon. They don't talk, they kill. Trust me. 5 minutes, Elon said, hanging up. He stood, adjusted his t-shirt, and grabbed another device from the drawer, a compact stun gun disguised as a phone. Just in case. Then he headed to the front door. When the door opened, the night air hit him with the smell of gunpowder and burnt plastic. Raul stood by the gate, his men behind him, unarmed but wary. Elon stepped into the yard, his strides measured, hands relaxed, but his eyes tracked Raul's every move. You're brave, Musk, Raul said, his voice low, almost a whisper. Or stupid. Maybe both, Elon replied with a faint smile. But I'm here. Talk. Raul stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. We were hired. Don't ask who, because I don't know. They told us to take your servers, your prototypes. And scare you. To keep your mouth shut. My tweets are making someone nervous. Huh? Elon raised an eyebrow. But why you? You don't strike me as someone who blindly follows orders. Raul clenched his fists, but didn't answer. Elon pressed on. I can help you, Raul. You and your men aren't the main target. Give me information, and I'll make sure the police look elsewhere. You think I'll trust you? Raul laughed, but it was bitter. In my world, trust is death. In my world, trust is how you survive, Elon said. We've got 3 minutes before the police storm in. Choose. Raul looked at his men. Diego stood with his head bowed, the others avoiding his gaze. The sirens roared like a warning bell. Something in Raul broke. He wasn't a hero nor a victim. He was a man trapped in a system bigger than himself. There's a man, he said quietly, in San Antonio, calls himself El Patron. He gave us the order. That's all I know. Elon nodded, his face impassive, but his mind was racing. El Patron, a name that could be a key. But time was up. Go, Raul. Take your men and disappear. I'll talk to the sheriff. But if you lied, I'll find you. And no Patron will save you. Raul stared at Elon, as if trying to decipher the man before him. Then he turned to his men and waved a hand. Vámonos. They melted into the darkness, leaving their rifles in the dust. Elon watched them go as police cars screeched into the yard. Sheriff Roy leapt out, revolver at the ready. Where are they, Musk? He barked. Gone, Elon said calmly. But I know where they're headed. Roy scowled but nodded. You're either a genius or insane. What's your plan? Elon smiled, his eyes glinting in the flashing lights. I'm just getting started, Roy. Morning sun rose slowly over Austin, bathing the city in golden light. But at Elon Musk's home, where sirens had wailed and the air had reeked of gunpowder hours earlier, a tense silence reigned. The yard was littered with debris from electromagnetic pulses and tire tracks from police cars. The cartel's abandoned rifles lay in the dirt, a reminder of a night that could have ended in tragedy. Elon stood by a window, holding a cold cup of coffee. His eyes, weary but sharp, gazed into the distance, where the city's skyline blended with the horizon. Sheriff Roy Thompson sat at the dining table, his cowboy hat beside him. He flipped through notes Elon had given him after the cartel's retreat. The name El Patron was underlined in red. Roy frowned, his calloused fingers tapping the table. You sure you want to dive into this, Musk? He said, his voice rough from a sleepless night. This ain't just thugs. El Patron's a shadow. Nobody knows who he is. Could be a myth. Elon turned to him, his gaze cool, but with a hint of a smile. Shadows always hide someone, Roy. And I know how to find them. He set the cup down and sat across from the sheriff. His mind was in overdrive. Every detail of the night, every gesture from Raul, every word from Diego, it was all part of a puzzle. Elon wasn't naive. He knew the cartel didn't act alone. Someone with deep influence, maybe from Austin, San Antonio, or even D.C., wanted him silenced. But instead of hiding or striking back, he chose another path. One that required not just brains, but faith that even the darkest systems have cracks where light can break through. The following days were a blur. Elon didn't sit idle. Using his resources, from X-Corp servers to contacts in law enforcement, he started digging. El Patron, it turned out, wasn't just a name. It was an alias for a network tying together drug trafficking, local government corruption, and even tech firms looking to weaken Tesla and SpaceX. Elon wasn't shocked. He'd long known his enemies weren't limited to Silicon Valley rivals. But the scale of this conspiracy was bigger than he'd imagined. He didn't forget Raul. Through secure channels, using anonymous servers, Elon sent him a message. You gave me a name. I kept my word. Now it's your turn. Raul didn't reply immediately. 2 days passed before Elon received an encrypted file with coordinates for an abandoned warehouse in San Antonio and a list of names, middlemen relaying El Patron's orders. Raul added one line, "This is all I know. Don't look for me." Elon passed the intel to Roy, but urged caution. He didn't want Raul or his men to become collateral damage. They were pawns, and Elon was after the king. Roy, though grumbling, agreed. A week later, police raided the warehouse. They found evidence, documents linking a local official to drug trafficking and emails hinting at ties to a Tesla supplier. El Patron remained in the shadows, but his network was starting to fray. A month passed. Austin buzzed with rumors. Local papers ran stories about a mysterious attack on Musk's home, but the official version was vague. Failed robbery attempt. Suspects fled. Elon stayed silent. He disliked the spotlight, especially when the real work wasn't done. But something shifted in the city. People who once feared speaking about the cartel began whispering that someone had challenged it. And that someone hadn't just survived, he'd made the system tremble. One evening, Elon was in his office when an anonymous letter arrived. Inside was a single sheet with the words, "Thank you, Diego." Elon smiled. He didn't know where Diego or Raul were, but he sensed their lives might have changed. Not because they'd become heroes, but because they'd seen an alternative. A small step, but a vital one. He walked to the window. Austin glowed with lights, the smell of evening barbecue mingling with a cool breeze. Sirens no longer sounded, but Elon knew the fight wasn't over. El Patron was still out there in the shadows. And sooner or later, they'd meet. He returned to his desk, powered up his computer, and got to work. New graphs appeared on the screen, a Starlink project that could bring connectivity to remote Texas corners where cartels often hid. Elon knew technology wasn't just business. It was a way to change the game. The night in Texas became a legend. To some, it was a tale of how Elon Musk outsmarted a cartel. To others, it was proof that even in the darkest times, there's room for dialogue. But for Elon, it was just the beginning. He didn't destroy the cartel or put El Patron behind bars. But he planted doubt in those who thought themselves untouchable. And that was his victory. Would Raul return? Would Elon find El Patron? Would Austin change? Those questions lingered. But in the heart of the city, where skyscrapers met dusty Texas roads, hope flickered. Hope that even a small step, a word, a conversation, a refusal to fight fire with fire, could spark something bigger.